What up, family? Welcome back. We are live here in the Good Life Studios. I'm your brother Ryan, and I'm glad just to be back with you another time. Let's get straight into it. We always know if you want to live the good life, you got to do the work. So let's get to work. Today, we're talking about something that has become monumental in my life, and I really want your feedback. I'm gonna share a few things that I've learned along the way, but I really want to hear what you have to say about it, and that's my tone of voice. The way you say what you say matters more than what you ever said. My mom used to always tell me that, Ryan, you say a lot of great things, but the way you say them, people don't want to hear it. How I say it matters more than what I said. I started doing some research on this recently, trying to figure out how I can get better at developing my tone of voice. And brothers, if you like me, I'm pretty sure you heard this before. Watch how you talk to me when dealing with your spouse or your girlfriend, your mom, your sister, or just anybody in your life. As men, a lot of times we can come into a space wanting to make sure that we're assertive and that we're getting our point across. And unfortunately, sometimes what that sounds like is a messed up tone of voice, and not what we're trying to convey is a sense of understanding, a sense of knowledge, a sense of care, a sense of concern. Uh, we may want to come across as the authority and not authoritative, but because of our tone, because of the way we said what we said, the message we're trying to get across and we're trying to convey to everybody involved gets lost in how they heard it, not what they heard, but how they heard it. The tone is very important. Uh, it can be the difference in saving somebody's life and laughing about what's happening. It's very simple. I mean, just the fact that if I change the inflection in how I say a word, or if I smile when I talk versus if I frown when I say something, all of these things affect my tone of voice and they affect how you receive what I'm saying. So if my tone is getting in the way of my message, then am I really a good communicator? And as men, we all know that to be a good communicator is to be a good leader. And to be a good leader is essential to being a good man. And we want to be good men who live the good life. So I want to share a few things with you. Now, I found something pretty interesting. Studies have shown that 70 to 93% of how you say is more important than the words you say. It is 70 to 93% more important to watch how you say what you're saying versus than to watch what you're saying. So I could say something that's really messed up, really crazy, and really out of this world. But if I say it in a way that is conveyed and it lands easily on the ear, people will receive it. Prime example, we look at comedians all the time who say some things that may be kind of sketchy. They may be kind of borderline like, did you really mean to say that, bro? Sis, did you really mean to say that? Say what you just said? But we're so busy laughing at the tone and the delivery of what they said that it takes us a minute to process, wait a minute, that was an out of bounds statement. There it becomes so important how I present something. My wife is a chef, and one of the things that I've learned from her is that we eat with our eyes before we eat with our palates. Why am I saying that if I'm talking about my voice and my tone? Because how I see the dish matters to if I even want to eat the dish. Because if it doesn't look good, I don't want to eat it. Or let's just say I'll be challenged to eat it. Everybody who knows me knows I like to eat. I have a big appetite, whatever. But if I'm not careful, my eyes will get in the way of what's being put on the plate, and I won't ever enjoy the variety of things that I could taste in this world. Communication is no different. If it doesn't sound good, if it doesn't come across appealing to the way it sounds, I may never get to enjoy fully everything that you're trying to convey to me verbally. Now, this is another thing. Tone isn't just, or at least from what I've learned, tone isn't just me raising my voice up and down. That's more like pitch or inflection. Tone is made up of, I believe, like five things primarily, right? And so there's, of course, the tone, like how my voice sounds. Am I going up an octave? Am I going down an octave? Am I monotone? Am I speaking in one consistent syllable and one consistent note the entire way through? Or am I changing the rhythmic function and the melody of my voice, right? That's the tone. But then there's the pace. How fast or how slow am I saying something? Am I taking my time? Am I allowing you to catch up to everything that I'm about to say? There's the volume. Am I talking softly? Am I talking very intently? Or am I just loud and just all outdoors and hey, that matters. The emphasis. Do I speak with punctuation? Am I trying to say something hard? Or am I just taking my time and kind of like, whatever. It's all cool. And then there's pause. Allowing people time to gather everything that you're saying. These things create the tone of voice. And oftentimes what I'm learning is that in our generation, in this era of life, what often gets lost is the tone, primarily because we do so much communication via text message and DM. We're not exercising our voices like we should. What we're doing nowadays is we're sending text messages, we're sending DMs, we're using Slack, we're using Threads, we're using Teams, we're using all types of messaging apps to convey and to communicate, whether it's Instagram or X or Threads or whatever the platform is, and we're so busy typing that we're not actually talking. So we don't get the reps in that are needed to develop the skill of communicating verbally effectively. And then this ends up being a problem in our interpersonal relationships. So one of the things I had to learn with the gentleman who worked at our shop for a while was that if I really wanted to communicate something to him effectively, I had to text him. Because talking to him, he didn't understand how to communicate and how to receive tone and texture of communication. He didn't do well with up front and up close communication because for whatever reason he was so used to typing and hiding behind the screen and being able to convey himself via text message that when we would talk in person he would just go blank. He wouldn't know how to effectively communicate himself. But if I text him the same thing I said to him in the shop, what would end up happening is he would send me a long message, would have all of these thoughts, and he would convey all of his emotions and everything that he was thinking and feeling, and he was very opinionated. But he couldn't say it. And I truly believe it's because we haven't developed the ability to speak well as men in this generation. I want to encourage us to develop the way to speak. And I'm not saying that everybody's going to be on YouTube talking or be on stages speaking. That's not what I'm saying. I have come to realize that my tone matters in my marriage. The way I say stuff to my wife matters more than what I said to her. And lately, Chriselle and I have been having conversations that are very pivotal, just to be honest. And I believe they're going to help shape the next 5 to 10 years of our marriage, if not more. And those conversations were difficult for me until I began to take command of my tone. I had to learn how to calmly and confidently convey things to her in a way that didn't disarm her. I'm sorry, they didn't alarm her, but rather they disarmed her. That's what I was trying to say. And so I had to watch how I spoke, not just what I said, but how I said it. This becomes so important, not only in my marriage, but it becomes important in my profession because we all know that I'm a barber, I'm a speaker, I'm a preacher. So how I say things matters more than what I say, right? This matters when I'm interviewing people or when I'm being interviewed by people. This matters when I talk with my sibling. She and I had a great conversation yesterday, and I had to be careful about my tone because I wanted to be encouraging the entire time. I wanted to be empathetic, I wanted to be receptive, and I wanted to be encouraging. So I had to watch how I said things. I had to be careful to monitor my tone and the way I responded to what she said. And sometimes, remember, we talked about pause being a big part of tone. Sometimes waiting long enough for the other person to convey everything they need to say and to get everything out is a big piece of the tone because it doesn't just shape what I said, it shapes how they're hearing me because it gives them time to process their thought and respond to it before I say something else. So I had to keep this in mind in having this conversation with my sister. When I speak with my parents, even though I'm an adult, they're still my parents. And I have to be careful that my tone doesn't portray that I'm trying to command something from them rather than I'm trying to collaborate with them now. I don't believe there'll ever become a point in life where children should command anything from their parents. And that's just a personal preference, right? But I do believe that once a child becomes an adult and now we begin to work with our parents, I think that my tone is going to help convey the fact that I want to be collaborative with them. But all of what it comes down to is how I say what I say. Now, if you're a young man, if you're or an old man at that point, for that matter, who is struggling being understood by the people that you work the most closely with, and you always say, why is it that they don't understand me? Why is it that every time I say something, they get offended? I will argue I would argue that it's not what you're saying that is probably so offensive or alarming. I would probably argue that it's how you're saying it to them that matters the most. A big piece of tone will also include language. Are we sure that we're using words that we have command of? Just a second ago, I used the wrong words. I said disarm instead of whatever the other word was I used, right? We don't want to go into a conversation and be aloof because that sends a message that I don't have command of my own thoughts. I don't have command of my own lexicon. I don't have command of what it is I'm actually trying to convey, and this affects my tone. How does this affect my tone? Because when I say something, I begin to put question marks on the ends of words that should have periods. I begin to put question marks on the ends of words that should have exclamation points. I begin to put question marks in places that should be pauses. Because I'm not sure if I'm actually saying what I really want to say. I'm not sure if I'm actually conveying effectively my own thought. So how can you effectively receive it? This becomes something that's difficult for me, even in doing this. I'm always trying to make sure that I'm saying the proper words because so many people are going to see it. Now, the videos haven't blown up yet to where I'm having thousands and thousands of people watch them. But then I had to think, if 100 people see this video and I was speaking to a room full of 100 with 100 people in it, I will be very certain to make sure I had command of my language. And so my tone matters even in this video because I want to make sure that you're receiving effectively what I'm trying to communicate effectively. And how I communicate matters more than if I communicate. Because if I don't communicate effectively, then I might as well not communicate at all. So let's think about this. There are types of tones that can be used. Are you being sarcastic? My father-in-law uses this word. Are you being demonstrative? Are you being aggressive? Are you being happy? Are you joyful? Are you sad? Are you questioning? All of these moods that you can have, your mood affects your tone because how can I say something that I'm not feeling? If I'm not feeling it, then it's going to be hard for me to communicate it. So with that said, there are 7 core emotions, right, that every human has. 7, all right? The 7 are happy, sad, disgusted, fearful, angry, surprised, and bad. Now, of the 7, 6 of those 7 can be communicated with your face. We can communicate happy with a smile. We can communicate sad with a frown. We can communicate disgusted with a scowl. We can communicate fearful when our eyes go up and we look tense. This also can communicate surprised, like, oh. We can communicate angry when our face is turned up and we look upset about things, right? So these 6 things can be communicated simply with our face. Now, this is the thing that became interesting to me. I was listening to a professional communicator and communication coach. His name is Vinh Giang. I believe I'm saying his name right. His Instagram is @Vinh. You can follow him on Instagram and YouTube, I believe. His YouTube is both, Ask Vinh. I'll put it here on the page so you can tap in. He's a great communicator, great coach. And one of the things he says is that your body is connected to your voice and your voice is connected to your body. Change of body language has a drastic effect on how we feel and sound. So my body language is going to play into how things are received. Now, how does this play into us being better communicators in our relationships? If I'm sitting upright, shoulders square, feet firmly planted on the floor, and I look you square in your eyes. I look right into your face and I make a statement. Because my body posture is confident, my words are going to come across a little bit more confident. Now, if I'm slouched down in the chair and my head is kind of cocked to the side and I'm not really making eye contact, I don't look as confident, and so therefore I don't sound as confident. This all affects how we talk, right? And so one of the things we want to do is pay attention to our body language. Where are my hands? Where are my feet? How am I sitting? Where are my shoulders? Am I slouched over? Am I sitting straight up? And am I commanding my own space? Because if I'm not commanding the space that I occupy, it'll be even harder for my words to command your attention. Now, what does this do for us? This gives us the ability to go in and out of relationships and situations and say effectively what it is we mean. And one of my favorite sayings is, say what you mean and mean what you say. If you ask my wife, she'll tell you, I hate repeating myself. It drives me crazy. But as a communicator, I'm learning that repetition is something that I have to do if I expect people to grab hold to what it is I want them to understand. So I'm learning to repeat myself a little bit more here in this stage of my life. But what makes repeating myself a little bit more enjoyable is playing with the tonality. How did I say it the first time? Did I say it better the second time? Is there a third way I can say it, and maybe even a fourth way? Because each time I change the tone, I change the emotion. And each time I change the emotion, I change the way you can grab hold to it. And maybe even if it penetrates your thought process to where what I'm saying changes how you think. Because honestly, like I said in the last video, I want to have conversations with people. I don't want to come across just as the authority. Now, I do want to be authoritative in how I speak. I want to have command of my language. Because as a man, that's important. That is so important that I have command of my language. That way, in any situation, you know that I spoke to you as a man and I heard you as one as well. That I listened to you the way a man is supposed to listen to you, but I spoke to you the way one is supposed to as well. Because I commanded my space and I commanded my voice. That's important. But if I don't have command of my tone, if I don't have command of my body language, if I don't have command of my facial expressions, then any situation that I come into, I easily become a target to be taken advantage of. And I don't want that for you because I don't want it for me. So I want to hear in the comments, what are some things, what are some techniques that you've adopted, or have you even began to think about this, that allow you to command a healthy tone of voice in your conversations? Because we all know by now that how you said it and how they heard it are often not the same thing. Look, I'm your brother. I love you. I appreciate you taking this time to listen to me. And I really hope that you get into the comments and drop some gems. I'm really trying to develop this. How well can I command my tone of voice? And I really think that you have something that I can use. And hopefully this helps you as well. Until next time, live the good life. Peace.